he was someone that we've been corresponding with quite a while, and didn't know if, it only kind of at the last minute did he get the okay to come, and it's just great to have him here. But he has been with the Alpine Club of Pakistan for a very long time, and is currently the president at this time. And his talk today is Pakistan's mountains and the effects of climate change and waste, and management of waste in the Pakistan mountains. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Roger, for giving me some time to speak up. And I'm sorry I have eaten up your lunch time. Well, I'll be speaking about Pakistan's mountain areas and the effects of climate change, and then waste management issues that we are confronting. Of course, my presentation would be in these three parts as shown. Oh, no. I know. Okay. Well, this is Pakistan's map, and we have so many mountains from the north till the south. But all these mountain areas lower from the north, they are quite low. The main high mountains are all housed in north, what we call northern areas of Pakistan, which houses Gilgit-Baltistan and districts of Chitral in the north. Now, before I go on, I must give you acquaint you with the issues. Now, all the mountain areas are packed up in the north and cut off from the main line, as you see here. And till 1978, we did not have a road going to these areas. It was after that we built Karakoram Highway, which is about more than 750 kilometers, going from here and joining to China. After that, the area was opened up. But certainly, climbing has been taking place earlier, and during the construction of the Karakoram Highway as well. So that is one of the reasons that these Karakorams and Himalayas remain a secret to most of even Pakistan population itself, because they could not go out, they could not reach it out. It was only known to the mountaineers and adventure seekers. But now, with the opening of Karakoram Highway, people can visit the areas, and the domestic tourism has increased. Well, just to introduce you, this is the Indus River flowing in from Tibet, and then going towards northeast and going towards south. And it bifurcates, it limits three great ranges. That is Karakoram, Himalayas, and Hindu Kush. And it is here at this location that the three ranges meet. And this is a unique feature of Gilgit-Baltistan. And of course, the Karakoram and Hindu Kush is divided by this Krambar Glacier and Krambar River. So these are the main ranges as shown. And if you look from the Google Earth, you can see the huge glaciated areas, immense. This area is about 420 kilometers by 420 kilometers by 270 kilometers, about 113,000 square kilometers. So this is the huge mountain. If you compare it with Himalayas, Himalayas is a linear bone, whereas our northern areas It has Karakoram and Himalayas, and it's more in a square shape, a rectangular shape. Next is the actual satellite photograph, and here we have the 5 8,000ers that we have, K2. Local name is Shogori, the king of mountains, and then the other 8,000ers. All packed up in, well, I was talking, all packed up around Concordia, 4 of them. And Nanga Parbat is, of course, the western pillar of Himalayas. And Tirachmir is the highest of Hindu Kush. Hindu Kush range extends itself to Afghanistan. Well, the high mountains of Pakistan, if you see here, we have more than 700 peaks rising above 6,000 meters. Nobody's business. Huge. You look at the 7,000ers. And the glaciers I will be talking about. The longest, of course, the longest is in Kyrgyzstan, but we have the other glaciers. Siachen, as you know, is the disputed area. But look at the length. Baltoro, which is the most frequented area, is 62 kilometers long. Look at the area they're occupying. Oh, sorry. Okay. This is to acquaint you the Baltoro Glacier. It is, as I mentioned, more than 60 kilometers long. Here's the glacial junction, Concordia, going up to K2, and then we have Broad Peak, Gesherbum 2, and here is Gesherbum 1. And this is how they are. Within a radius of 20 kilometers, that 8,000 meter peaks are residing. Of course, it is border case with China, autonomous region of Xinjiang province, that we share these peaks, like Nepal shares with Tibet, some of its peaks. This is the glacial junction of Concordia, looking from the aerial view and on the ground, and look at the magnificent view from Concordia to all other peaks. That shows the Baltoro Glacier and other peaks, and Broad Peak, the K2, Gesherbum 4, and this side is Choglisa, which is not visible, Baltoro Kangi, and that is Choglisa, the Mitre just next to Concordia. This is another view of Baltoro Glacier, and we have Mesherbum, or K1 up there. Talking about Chogori, the K2, well, most of you would be familiar with it, 8611. And well, that was the first ascent was made by Lechdeli and Campioni, and they're standing on the summit. And they're with us in 90s when they visited Pakistan on our invitation. And here I would like to inform you about this is the Abruzzi Ridge going up, and that's the western side. And it was way back in 1974 that I was with Jim Whittaker attempting to climb from this difficult, the ridge is not visible from the other side, and we could not succeed. It was the first American expedition which was successful was in 1978 with Jim McFire and others, and they took the east route. That's the shoulder, visible here, and then they climbed up the peak from there. Well, just to show you the K2, here's the base camp, and this is the famous Abruzzi Ridge climbing up. Of course, now the climbs have been made from the other sides as well. And within a week from today, we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of the first ascent, which was done on 31st July. And today, day before yesterday, more than 30 climbers, they started for the summit because they got the good weather window. Hopefully, they should be on the summit by 24th or 25th, if the window persists. Well, that's the north side of K2, and way back in '75, we were attempting this ridge, the American K2 expedition. Well, other peaks in the area, Geshapum 1. Of course, the Americans climbed it way back in '58. The first ascent was made. And then the Broad Peak, the first ascent was made by great Hermann Bull and Kurt Diemberger with him. Geshapum 2, again the Austrians made its first ascent. And so many other peaks. Because of shortage of time, I would not be going over too detail. Nick Clinch from California, he made the first ascent in 1962. The famous Triangle Towers, and as the down below is Paiju, which was attempted by Nick Clinch in '74. He could not climb, and then I organized the expedition, and I and Nazir Saber, we made the first ascent of this peak, '76. The other peaks of the area, of Karakoram, I'm talking about. Rakaposhi, which dominates Hunza, Baturas. Well, we made the first ascent of Pasu Peak way back in '78 with the Japanese. Then I come on to Naga Parbat, the famous Naga Parbat, the Killer Mountain, and that's the huge mass. Well, its ridge is about more than 70 kilometers. You can imagine the immense nature of this mountain. And Hermann Bull made the first ascent on 3rd July, '53. Another aerial view of Naga Parbat, showing all its ridges, Mazzino Ridge. And this side is the west side, Diamir face, and the other side is Rupert face. This is the Rupert face. This is the normal Rakhikot face, and this is the Diamir face, mostly climbed by mountaineers at the moment. It's unfortunate that we had this incident last year on this face, and this, at the base camp somewhere here. Tirishmir is the highest of Hindu Kush. It has been climbed a number of times, but it was Finnish who made the first ascent. So many other peaks in Hindu Kush. Well, now climate change affects on the mountain areas. You see, this shows the annual rainfall, and we have more rainfall in, of course, lower than the GB. In north, we have less precipitation. I'll be showing you the precipitation and temperature graphs of Gilgit area and Skardu. Skardu area where these four giants are housed. Well, you see, these are the mean monthly temperatures that we have. Well, yearly temperatures, they have been varying, and certainly the temperatures have risen, and I'll be showing you slides, the comparison of the Baltoro Glacier terminus, how it has melted down. Skardu, the temperatures have been varying. But the ICMOD in its report has, that's what they say, that there's a likelihood of increase of temperature by about 5 degrees to what was there in 71 to 2000. Well, I'll be talking about Karakoram now only. This slide shows the glaciers that are there on Karakoram. In Pakistan, we have about 1,200 plus glaciers. Total number of glaciers in Karakoram is, as per ICMOD, is 1219. And this is the analysis, may not be clear slide, but anyway, it shows the altitude and the glaciers that are there and which are being affected. It's the midland which are stable. The high altitude are being affected, and the lower more. And this slide shows how many, from 76 to 2011, the stable glaciers we have 969, advancing 53, and retreating 93. So that shows the effect of the climate change on the glaciers. Certainly there's an anomaly because in Nepal they are receding, but here in Karakoram some are advancing, and the scientists, they call it anomaly, because some are rising, some are retreating, and some are advancing. An area of Baltoro Glacier, which is the most frequented, as I will be talking about later. Now, this is the sketch made by Philippi de Philippi in 1909, shows how much snow was there, and as compared to Google Earth of the present day. That is a comparison of the ice, the snow accumulation in this area. Well, this is a photo which is worth taking notice of. Correction. This photo, this photo was taken by De Philippi in 1909, who accompanied the famous Duke of Abruzzi in his expedition. And look at the level, the terminus level of Baltoro Glacier. And this photo taken by a Japanese in 1999 shows how much it has depleted. And of course, the glacier changes in Panma Glacier, they have taken from GIS, so that shows how much, what is the difference from 2001 and 2010. We never had any physical presence of met stations in Baltoro. It was EBK2CNR with whom we are cooperating since 2005. They set up first met station on Baltoro off the glacier in 2011. And that is transmitting data. And the first week of July this year, they have established this met station at the base camp of K2, which is which is streaming live, and you can obviously this is the that is the URL which you can connect and have a direct access and see as to what is the met conditions prevalent at that time on K2 base camp. So that is interesting, because otherwise we were just getting the data from the satellite photographs and of course the meter stations, etc. We never had a direct meter station in the Baltoro region. Now, the effects of climate change, of course, there have been a number of glacial outbursts in Nepal, but with us the frequency is not much. But we have more of glacial melting, damaging the infrastructure. Now, but this happened in 1974 when I was working on Karakoram Highway myself. And this happened in April. A chunk of Momil Glacier came down, I think must be some glacial burst, and blocked River Hunza. And it was about as high as 80 feet high dam, which blocked the river. And we have a lake which was extended up to 6 to 7 kilometers upstream. But after about 20 years, this lake is no more there. Of course, the sedimentation has taken place, and the river has found its own course on top of it. But again, this phenomenon took place in 2010, but it is due to seismic, because there's a fault line there, the Hunza Valley, and it's a big slide which occurred and blocked Hunza River. Blocked at Atabad and forming a huge lake, submerging 2-3 villages with the cultivations and lands, and extending up to 21 kilometers and submerging 13 kilometers of Karakoram Highway. So we didn't have any road for the past few years, and the population which is in northern Hunza, which is known as Gujal, about 25,000 people, they were being transported by either by helicopter or by the rafts and boats. There was no access. Still there's no access, but hopefully with the Chinese support we are having tunneling, and we have lowered on the height, as mentioned. It was about 160 meters. We have lowered on it by 35 meters. So now some parts of the Karakoram Highway are visible. And along with tunnel, I hope we will have the connection soon, within a year or two. Some of the photographs, this is the actual photograph, the actual slide which occurred. A huge, immense, just imagine, blocking the river by 160 meter high dam. Some of the photographs, this is how the sediment settled down and the lake started forming. Look at the area, the aerial view of the lake going 23 kilometers deep and submerging many of the local lands and damaging the houses and other infrastructure. Of course, road was submerged totally. Another view of lake, which is now looks beautiful. But these are the lakes which are not due to any damage. Here's a beautiful lake of Kachura near Skardu, Satpara near Skardu, and again Kachura. Beautiful lakes next to Skardu. And of course, they were made many, many years back. Now I'll talk about the waste and its management. See, well, the mountaineering activities is taking place in many of the parts of Karakoram and other areas, but mostly in Baltoro, as shown by here. The mountaineering expedition that has visited us since '89 are shown as indicated here. And well, next slide, the till date. We had, if you see, we had the highest number prior to 9/11 was 61, and 2002, after 9/11, number reduced Not many people were coming in. And again, in 2007, we had the highest number and started decline due to recession and local law and our situation. And this year we have about 39. But the point to note is going back, you see, in this period, we had many expeditions coming in. And that's why there was more impacting the local environments. I'll talk about later. And then in 2006, see, we were celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the first ascent of Gesherbrum 2. And same goes to 2004, when we were celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the first ascent of K2, that we received a large number of trekkers besides the expeditions. So that put a lot of pressure on the local environments. Graphic representation of the number of visitation to the area by mountaineers, as I mentioned earlier, peaks and lows. The projection of visitors, of course, that depends upon the local law and our situation. If the situation is good, we'll receive more number of visitation, but if it is not, then we'll not be able to. But hopefully, with the regional stability that we are expecting and the action taken against the terrorists, and well, we hope by next year we should be in a better, peaceful environment. Now, the impact of these expeditions on the local environment. Well, way back in 1909, the Duke of Abruzzi had a big expedition, and he had 1,300 porters. In 1975, on our expeditions, the American expedition, I had to hire 850 porters. Huge. I had one C-130 chartered and one Fokker aircraft. We had 2 aircraft chartered because Jim Whittaker was going in, so we had so many stuff with them. But look at the impact. That shows the ratios and, well, number of porters that were visiting. For each mountaineer, the expected number of porters is in the range of 10 to 12, and for trekkers about 5. So calculating all that, you can imagine. And then for mountaineers, the porters have to go 4 times. They cross Baltoro. Baltoro is the most critical, as shown earlier. About 55 to 60% of the visiting expeditions go to Baltoro because of the 4 8,000ers and other challenging peaks in the area. So most of the traffic goes on Baltoro. And the porter has to carry the gear to the base camp and then return back. 2 times, 2 traffic counts, then again go back to pick up the stuff when the expedition is finished and return back. So 4 traffic counts we take. And let me tell you, the number of stages that we have on this Baltoro from last sheephead, that is Ascole now, but earlier it used to be 3 days more walk from Skardu. So it takes about 4 to 5 days to reach the Baltoro glacier, that is on land, and then traveling about 5 to 7 days, depending on the own physical fitness. It takes that many days on the glacier itself, traveling. So the traffic count is in 2000 was 19,900, and in 2007, 32,816. This was the research done by Dr. Enam Mrak. So that much traffic count. And well, just to reorientate you, this is the sketch of the complete Karakoram, and Here we are considering Baltoro Mustaq area, which is the most frequented. This is Baltoro sketch, and well, given. And as mentioned earlier, the 4 8,000ers that I showed you earlier, same. So that's why there's a lot of pressure. From Concordia, of course, those who are going towards K2 base camp, the base camp is here, they go, they travel a day. The Broadpeak base camp is en route on Gordon-Austen Glacier, and for climbers going to Geshwam 1 and 2, they go along the upper Baltoro and to their own mountains. Waste produced by trekkers and the mountaineers. This is the rough estimate. Burnable, non-burnable, biodegradable, etc. And here's another estimation of human waste in 2006 in Baltoro. Baltoro was so beautiful way back in 1909, but look at it, what happens now in Concordia. This is the trash of 2004 when we celebrated the golden jubilee of the first ascent of K2. We had 2,000 trekkers from Italy alone, besides the mountaineers, and this is what the garbage they left. This situation was quite critical. This is Concordia I'm talking of. We had animals, the donkeys and the mules, and some of them they died. It was quite inhospitable for them to survive in that area, and the carcass was left just like that. And on the mountains, especially on K2, we have large number of ropes which are still there from many expeditions, and the high camps where you can see it's Camp 1 and then Camp 2, which are full of mountainous waste. The tents, the ropes, their own stuff. I don't blame them, because as a mountaineer, I know there are so many hazards, and I'll be talking about later. We have tried to put restrictions, regulations, but obviously someone's life is involved due to avalanche or something, so they cannot bring down all the ropes and their own waste. So this was the measure adopted when we, after confronting 2004, we took a serious note of it. But I must mention in 1996 as well, we had already taken actions. Well, number one is, of course, adoption of regulatory measures, launching cleanup expeditions, environment preservation awareness campaign, training, tracking guides and high altitude porters in environment-friendly practices, briefing all the visiting expeditions trackers. It so happened that till 2005, the briefing and debriefing was being done by the Ministry of Tourism. After realizing the situation, they handed over the briefing and debriefing of all the visiting expeditions and trackers to Alpine Club, where we could brief them technically, we could apprise them of the situation, and of course talk about the preservation and the waste management. Then of course establishment of 3 environment-friendly camps en route on the land areas, and speeding up establishment of Central Karakum National Park. Regulatory measures. First the restriction on number of expeditions. You see, we have 5,000-8,000 and more expeditions going on. And there was only one route along Baltoro. So we asked the agencies concerned like IUCN, etc., to have its EIA, Environment Impact Assessment. And obviously we figured it out it's not possible to allow many expeditions visiting because then everybody's traveling on the same route. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, the mountaineering season during summer is from mid-May till end September. So everybody's jam-packed there. Unlike Nepal, they have 3 climbing seasons, but we have only 1. Of course, we have been trying to promote winter, which has been, of course, few expeditions have been visiting, but not in that number. So majority of the expeditions which are visiting us is during summer. And well, earlier in 1994, on our request, the ministry had imposed this restriction. But after 9/11, because nobody was coming, so the tour operators, they were dead against us, and the restriction had to be removed. But now again, in the Central Coast National Park, that's what the limit of the visitors, we are enforcing it. Incentive to climb in other areas outside Baltoro. We always tell the mountaineers that we have so much fascinating area, as you have seen for yourself, so many challenging peaks. Why not visit other mountains and just not go to Baltoro? So as just to give incentive, that's what we propose to the ministry, to lower down the peak royalties in other areas. And on our suggestion, they did it. So in climbing in other areas than Baltoro, especially in district of Gilgit and other along Karakoram Highway, it's just 10%. If the permit, if the royalty is about $6,000 US, you just have to pay about 600. And for winter, we got it reduced to only 5%. This was done in 2005. Monitoring and reporting, very difficult, as all the earlier speakers have informed you. It's very difficult, especially because who will be the monitoring, who will be going, and especially in our case when we have so many tour operators they are operating, they take it as a sort of revenge if somebody reports against them. But definitely we have been receiving reports about expeditions, and we have been penalizing offenders because we have the environment bond with the Ministry of, now we have no more Ministry of Tourism. We have Gilgit-Baltistan Council, of course. I don't know how to put the legislators, I don't know what they have been thinking. They have eliminated the word tourism from federal directory. So it's a regional. But anyway, we are working with them, and the people, the mountaineers who have been contributing the waste, of course, they have been penalized. Scrutiny of expedition gear. Now that is important because right from the word we said reduce, recycle, and reusable gear. So minimize the gear. And that's what, I'll inform you later, that's what we have been talking to all mountaineers and the tour operators especially, to reduce the stuff which is taken on the glaciers and on the mountains. And then fixed line ropes. Of course, it's a very tricky affair. Still not, we have not been able to enforce it, although in between we have been checking how much ropes are being taken up. And we have been asking the expeditions to take back all the ropes, but you and me know that physically it may not be possible. Then launching cleanup expeditions. We did at our own in the Alpine Club, and since 1994 we have been launching and collecting so much wastage each year. We could not launch each year, but year after year we did it, alternate years. And then, of course, the Italians came to our support, And we started launching cleanup expeditions with their support and help, EVK to CNR and other programs. And these are the figures. Now, this seems to be on rise. Well, it so happens that we have accumulated garbage lying there. And as you know, the phenomenon, when the snow accumulation is more, nothing is visible. But when the snow melts, then the things come out. And as you will see in the next photographs, when it comes up, then only you would know that how much garbage is there. So that's why we have been collecting the old garbage and bringing it down. These are the some of the photographs of our cleanup expeditions, local burning. Look at the tin stuff and everything that we recovered in 2000, and then 2005 photographs from the Concordia, as you saw earlier. We collected all and brought it back to Ascole, the last village, and there we burnt it. And all these cans they were smashed and to reduce volume, and they were taken to Skardu for selling to the junkies, etc. Now this is 2006. Look at that shows how old it was, which came up when the snow melted, the glacier melted. Now, when we started work with EVK to CNR, so they established a dump at the last village, Ascole, where they later put on incinerator, and we sorted out all the equipment, and the tents, non-burnable stuff was of course taken to Skardu, where it's all burnable, including polythene bags. They were stuffed here, and then of course, this is the cleanup expedition on K2, which brought back so much of garbage. Now, this is awareness campaign that we launched in 2007, and we published big brochures for for pasting along the route with all the hotels wherever the visitors stayed, and ahead of Skardu. And then also we published I'm sorry, can somebody help? Yeah. Well, we published this guidelines for all the visitors and for trekking guides. Take it to quite low down. This laid down all the environment-friendly practices, the waste management, and obviously we showed before you start what all to do. For example, the recycle and the lead batteries, the other batteries, and cartons, disposal of cartons, how to do it. So lowering down the stuff that was to be taken on the mountain. Then, of course, it had all other practices, the waste management, how to dig the pits on the land. And my point always had been to export back all this stuff from the glacier. Well, if you bring them down on the land area, their pits can be excavated, burned, as you saw in the photographs. And this is how, that was the local management. That's what we could do. But as far as the human body waste was concerned, that still remains a problem. I'll show you later as to how it is being done. Now, please, how much? Okay, sorry to press the wrong button. So many buttons. So during our briefing sessions with the expeditions, we handed over to each guide and to the expedition leader these pamphlets so that, and of course talk with them, so that ensuring that, of course, they observe. Because monitoring, as you realize, has been a difficult job itself. I was on this slide anyway, thank you. Awareness campaign was one of the issues we started in 2007, and then the training of the trekking guides. Mind you, we don't have the mountain guides, because mountain guide means anybody taking somebody up on the mountain to summit of K2, and that is not possible. We have high altitude porters to carry the stuff. We don't have Sherpas. The trekking guides is important because most of the garbage which is polluting the area is being done offland on the trekking route itself, on the glaciator till the base camp. Above the base camp, I think it's the responsibility of the mountaineers who are doing it themselves. So we conducted the refresher sort of courses with the support of EVQ to CNR, and certainly they are from the local communities, and I've been trying my level best since 90s for the guides to undergo some sort of training, which obviously nobody was willing. Here on the course, we paid for their transportation, we paid for all expenses, and we even gave them allowances. That's just to lure them in. And we conducted about 10 to 15 days course, which was a sort of refresher course during which we devoted 2 days on the environment-friendly practices. And of course, just as incentive, we have been dishing out the certificates just to encourage, keep a record who all underwent the courses, and just to gauge their performance at a later stage. Well, I took many of them to meet the ministers so that they could feel elevated, because they were coming from the remote areas where it was not possible for them to meet higher officials. So that was one of the incentives of the course, that they would be meeting up the ministers concerned, the government officials, etc. And then we took them on the glaciers itself. We used Pasu Glacier, which is our training area, and to teach them the rescue, crevasse rescue, and how they would be doing the waste management on the glacier itself. And then again, we also involved high altitude porters. Of course, we could not get everybody in because they are not registered. Mind you, here in Pakistan, although we register guides, but they do not undergo any certification courses, unfortunately. And we have been trying to get it done through ministry and everybody, but till date, there are not many certification courses. As far as high altitude porters are concerned, because they come from the local community, they are used to the environment, they have been climbing, and they become the high altitude porter. So we also involve them in the training program, and of course technical skills, and also waste management and environment friendly practices. And then briefing, debriefing. Of course, earlier we did not have closer contact with the visitors, because they would come to ministry and, well, if somebody knew at the mountaineering level, at the UIA or UTRIPL level, then we would go and visit them. But after 2005, it became compulsory for them to visit us. And there, to encourage them, we would talk about the pollution, we would show them the photographs of all which I've shown you, and request them to please ensure that they practice environment-friendly practices to bring back. And of course, we started giving out certificates to the summiters of K2 and all other peaks, along, of course, those who had done well for environment preservation, because that's what we have been requesting. Okay, hire few porters to bring back the stuff, the old stuff, or your own waste, bring back it to Ascolea, and there we could collect them. Well, I mentioned about the three environment-friendly camps that were established by another organization. They set up the toilets, etc. But these only cater for the mountaineers or the trekkers, not for accompanying porters, unfortunately. Because of the cultural sensitivities, as you realize, the locals are not motivated to use these toilets. But we are trying to educate, we are trying to make them aware so that they also use these toilets and they do not pollute the areas. Now, this is the first incinerator in the Baltoro region at Ascole, which was established as EVK2CNR in 2011. It is working. That's where we bring all the garbage and all the burnable stuff is put in there in this incinerator. About the human body waste management, of course, we are still a prototype toilet, drum-based, being set up at Concordia, and Italian EVK2CNR is in process to procure more and put up. But again, they are drum-based and only meant for the mountaineers and trekkers because they cannot cater for the need of the accompanying porters. So that's what we have been discussing and arguing. If we cannot cater for everyone, it's not possible just to cater for few climbers and trekkers. The third was setting up of the Central Karakum National Park. And as Paul was mentioning about Denali National Park yesterday, now we started off, we thought of, and it was some wise bureaucrat who thought of setting up this national park way back in 1973. And we sought the support of IUCN. And well, I was one of the board members. We started working on it and trying to put up some sort of management plan. It was many years that IUCN continued and then discontinued. In between, it lay dormant till it was picked up by WWF and later by EVK2CNR. Now this year in April, its management plan has been finalized. We have yet to put the park plan on the ground. So if we have this park on the ground, then we will have the waste management facilities. Of course, we would be able to provide many environment-friendly practices and waste management techniques there. That's why I've been seeking advices from all of you. And earlier I've been discussing with Dawa much earlier when I visited Nepal as to how manage the human body waste on glaciers and on high altitude, say about 5,000 meters high, and those freezing environments where the bacteria doesn't function. So we still have many challenges to face, but this is what we have been able to do till date. Management plan finalized and goals and objectives as given, just like any other park. But it's a huge park, it's about 10,000 square kilometers. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Any questions for the retired colonel?
I was curious about the rock slides that were creating the lakes, the reservoirs. I found that a little bit fascinating. What was the cause of those massive landslides? Is that retreating glaciers and suddenly the lands aren't there? I mean, is there more geological?
It was geological phenomena because slides keep on occurring. There's a fault line passing nearby, which we think that caused the slide. It was January, and we don't have glaciers coming down in January or melting down. But at that specific location, it was the fault line.
Okay, so there was very big. Okay. actually, one more question. For infrastructure costs with the receding glaciers and the change, with the water and rain and floods and things like that, is it safe to say in some of these new highways that are being constructed across the Karakoram that they're impacted by this, or is it constructed differently, or to avoid this, or is that planned into their construction and new infrastructure?
Yeah, we have to rebuild the infrastructure. That's the only solution because, well, if you know the area, the crisis of Karakoram is such, you cannot do anything. Keep on sliding. It's a fractured rock. It keeps on sliding. When we were working on construction of Karakoram Highway, we faced this problem because then we were using explosive. It was only in late 70s that we learned the technique of controlled blasting. Earlier we were using explosives at random.
Questions?
Well, thank you very much.